We're looking forward to the 2019-20 season kicking off next week, which wraps up with the MAC Basketball Championships for the first time at Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. Also a reminder for everyone, when you're asking a question, please just state your name and what outlet you're with. Each coach will be with us for approximately 10 minutes. So, Coach, can you please start with your opening statement before we open it up for questions?
Well, again, like you just mentioned, I'm looking forward to the season. It seems like every team has gotten better, or most have, and I think it promises to be an exciting season. I'm looking forward to the challenge of taking our team first to the non-conference and do everything we can to prepare for it.
Yeah, hi, Reggie. Steve Edelson from the Asbury Park Press. Last year there were, I think, 6.
Chris Williams.
And, a bunch of teams had the lead at certain points during the season. Can you maybe just talk about how competitive the league was last year and what you foresee for this season?
Well, you're right. It was a very competitive, tightly bunched, stressful regular season campaign, I think, last year. If you're a fan, it was great. You were just everybody seemed to be in contention. But it did speak to the balance a little bit of how things were. And I think teams, on paper could be even better than last year.
Thanks, Coach. Does anyone have another question for Reggie? I'll ask you one, Coach. Malik Johnson was named to the preseason All-MAC second team. What can we expect to see from him this season?
Malik has been a tremendous leader for us from his first practice as a college player. And he's a hard worker. He's extremely competitive, has a very high IQ, basketball IQ. And I think he understands the struggle and embraces the challenges that are before him. So, we're looking forward to him because now he's got, half of his teammates are new. And so they're really kind of waiting on his words and his wisdom, and it gives him a pretty big platform for leadership.
Thank you. Going off where you left off there, how have Johnson and the other upperclassmen on the roster stepped up this offseason as leaders on the team?
Well, it's new for guys like Jelani White, Scott Hitchen. Now they're upperclassmen. Dante St. Louis, upperclassmen. So that's a different deal, and especially given that other than Malik, those other three, even within the classes that they were, so even as freshmen, they weren't leaders amongst freshmen and sophomores, leaders amongst sophomores. So they're in a really different situation, and we're pushing them to help the new guys. We do have one senior, Corey Brown, who is been with us just for 1 year. So we're hoping that we can get some leadership, but he's trying to learn what we expect of him too. So it's a unique situation.
Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about the group of freshmen you have coming in this year and what we can expect to see from them?
Well, we have 3 freshmen, and they're all kind of different. One is, right from high school. One is from prep school, and one is an international kid who's from prep school. And so they've all had good days, and I think like any freshman, they've had some bad days too. But they're competitive, and they've shown that willing and in some cases eager to put the team first. And that's a big adjustment, I think, for any freshman because most times if they get to this level, they were the team at one point, and I think they're making strides as it relates to that.
Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about your first game and how you're getting the team prepared for that?
Well, yeah, I getting there quick. I think probably everybody is going to say that, but it is getting there quick. It's now, less than 2 weeks away, and we've had a scrimmage, and I think it's always the case where you feel like you need more practice time, but when half the team is new, we really don't know how they'll react in certain situations, and we're still trying to figure out a rotation. But the effort has been very, very good, and I think we've got a ways to go, but we're making strides.
Thank you. If there are no other questions for Coach Witherspoon, I'll ask one more before we let him go. Coach, what are the biggest goals you've set for your team heading into this season?
I think all short-term stuff. See a little, see a lot. So, coming off yesterday's practice, we got to be better. And we pick some things. Rebounding's got to be better. We've been on them about that. Taking care of the basketball. But better from day to day. I think that's always the best approach to growth. But particularly when guys are new, if you throw everything at them, you start talking about what you want to accomplish from the standpoint of an entire season, and they're trying to figure out what the heck you were talking about yesterday. You could be setting them up for some bad things. So it's all short-term stuff, really.
Thank you, Coach. That's all from us. Thank you for joining us this morning, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
We have Coach Jay Young on the line. Coach, could you just start with your opening statement before we open it up for questions?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm excited to get going here next Tuesday night. I was hired April 3rd and kind of had this date in mind for a long time. So I think the players are ready to go. I probably feel like we need another 3 months to practice, but they're not going to give me that. And we've got to play a very, very good Bucknell team Tuesday night. The guys have been really good. Had them now for 8 weeks during the summer, and obviously since school started, they've done a great job of buying into what we're trying to do and working very, very hard. Fortunate that got a team, I think 8 of my scholarship juniors or seniors, so they've been through some wars in college basketball, and just been really pleased with the group of guys and the leadership that they've shown. And we're going to throw it up here next Tuesday night and see where we're at.
Thank you, Coach. Does anyone have any questions for Coach Young?
Yeah, Jay, Steve Edelson from the Asbury Park Press. How you doing?
Good, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Just curious, you obviously spent so much time with Coach Peichel over the years at Stony Brook and Rutgers. Can you just talk about the impact he has had in that relationship you two have had on your coaching over the years and what you're trying to do here at Fairfield?
Well, I said this at my press conference that I wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for Steve and what he's done for me. There's not been a coach, I worked with him for 14 years. That's an awful long time. We had a great working relationship, but we were friends and still are very good friends. I mean, we talk all the time to this day. So he's had a huge impact on me. I watched him, certainly build a program really that no one knew about at Stony Brook to be, a mid-major I think we had the second most wins over the last 8 years in mid-major basketball in the Northeast. I think Iona was just ahead of us. But really into a great mid-major program at Stony Brook. And then, I saw what he was doing and what he continues to do at Rutgers on a daily basis. And really just, he's had such an impact. But I tell everybody there was, no secret formula to what we were doing. Steve would just roll up his sleeves every day, get better, and work at it. That's what he did, and that's what we're trying to do here. So he's a great coach and a good friend, and I owe him a tremendous amount.
Is Stony Brook kind of the model here for Fairfield for building this program mid-major?
Yeah, that's a good question. I compare it a lot, obviously, because of the level that we're at, and certainly there were some obstacles there. There are some obstacles here, like there is at any program. But yeah, I think that's a good example for us to use, just kind of how to build it on a daily basis. And you got to go through some lumps. We certainly did at Stony Brook our first 3 years. But if you just stay the course, you trust what you do, that good things will eventually happen. Yeah, so that's I refer to that a lot about my experiences there and what we had to do to build the program.
Great, thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
Does anyone have another question for Coach Young? Coach, I'll ask you one. You start the season with a few big games on the road at Maryland and then in the Orlando Invitational versus USC or either Davidson or Marquette. How do those games help get your team prepared for conference play?
Well, we certainly have a tough schedule. There's no question about it. And, having been in Stony Brook for 11 years, it's really about that week March, and that's your goal is to kind of, get there and be playing good basketball when you do. So, those are some tough games for us. We talk all the time. If we're going to put on a Fairfield uniform, we're playing to win, no matter who it is, and that's the message that I'm giving the guys. I certainly have great respect for those programs and know how difficult those games will be, but we'll find out pretty early what we're made of, and how tough we're going to be, especially on some difficult road environments versus some Power 5 teams. So. Kids like playing in those games. They're excited already, but our focus right now is just Bucknell, and everything we can do next Tuesday night to get out of there up one. That's really all we're thinking about right now.
Thank you. Fairfield had a pair of preseason All-MAC third-team selections in Jesus Cruz and Landon Taliaferro. What can we expect to see from those two this season?
Yeah, well, Landon's been working extremely hard. He's probably in the best shape that I think he's ever been in. He's really dedicated himself to his body, which has helped his game a lot. I think last year he was kind of just a shooter, and he worked hard in the off season and in the preseason. Jaden Daly by his game a little bit and become more of a dual threat scorer. So he's been awesome. He was a little banged up with toe injury, so we sat him for about a week, so he got a little bit behind. But I think he's going to have a great year for us, and you'll see him kind of score the ball in different ways rather than just being a shooter. And Jesus is like the Swiss Army knife. He can kind of score in different ways. He can shoot it a little bit. He drives it. He's got a unique game. And I'm hoping that he becomes, a really good defender for us. That's what I want him to concentrate on the most, because I think that will help him on the offensive end. But I like his game. Both guys have really bought in to what we're trying to do here, and it's been a real pleasure to be around and coach every day.
Thank you, Coach Young. Does anyone have any other questions for him? If not, I'll ask one more before we let him go. All right, Coach, what are your biggest goals you've set for this team in your first year at Fairfield?
I heard the end of Reggie's, and I'm going to kind of say the same thing, that, our goal is simply, the wins will take care of themselves. We're about the process of coming to practice every day and just getting better. And I know that's kind of coach speak, but I agree with Reggie when you set these goals. The wins are just an outcome of every day coming to practice and getting better. and that theme that we've had since I got here, about 1%, trying to get 1% better every day in practice, and the rest will take care of itself. So we're talking about how we beat Bucknell, and the next we met last night, watched some film from our scrimmage, and talked about having a great week of practice. Today's a day off, which starts tomorrow. How can we have the best practice that we've had all year tomorrow? And that's our goal right now, is to have a great practice tomorrow.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you for joining us, and good luck this season.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
We're joined by Tim Cluse from Iona. Coach, if you could just start with your opening statement before we open for questions.
Yeah, look forward to another season of basketball and the MAC tournament and MAC play and non-league schedule. Really excited about it. Our team's really excited about it. I like the group of guys that we have this year. We've been working very hard in the off-season, and can't wait to get started.
Thank you, Coach. Would anyone like to start us off with questions?
Tim, it's Jaden. How are you this morning?
Good, Jaden. How are you?
Good. When we spoke over the summer, one of the things that you were really excited about with this team was the infusion of depth, which may not have been there in the last couple of years. And now with Mo and Isaiah getting the waivers to play immediately, the depth only becomes even more important. How do you manage this roster with a group that can go 10, 11, sometimes even 12 deep early in the year?
Well, I think the real interesting piece is that the cream always rises to the top. So what looks like parity early on usually changes as you have the guys day in and day out, and they get more opportunities. So some guys will rise and some guys will fall. And I do like our depth, though.
And among the newcomers, Dylan Van Eyck has really stepped out as a potential X factor for this team. What does he bring to the table that you may not have had from last year's group or the year prior?
I just think he just brings some size that can really shoot the ball and has a really high basketball IQ. He's 6'9" and can kind of stretch the floor like a wing does, and he just knows how to play it. I just think it's a nice addition when we can go that route and we can have 5 guys on the floor who can really knock down shots at times.
And EJ, having lost 15 pounds over the summer, looks like he's in better shape. Has his rebounding got even better over the last couple months? And how much more of an all-around player is he going to be on this team?
Well, let's say his potential to rebound has gotten better. Now he has to just put it into effect every day. He's had days where he's done it well and days that he's kind of reverted to his old self.
Thanks, Tim. Good luck this season. See you soon.
Thanks.
Does anyone else have
Tim, Steve Edelson from the Asbury Park Press. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. I think last year, I think by the end of the year, there were 6 teams within the top, and a lot of different teams had them get to you guys in the end. As you see this season like that, where it's so competitive.
I'm really sorry. I'm having a really tough time hearing you.
Just saying, last year, I think there were 6 teams within 2 games of the top spot that won it. That kind of parity, I would think, can only help you when you get to the tournament and ultimately the NCAA tournament for you guys. How do you feel about that? And do you think that could be the case again this year?
Again, I don't know why. I don't know if you have a window open or something, but it's not coming in clear. I think you're asking something about the parity in our tournament and how that helps us to the NCAA. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, it's the parity in the league last year.
Yeah, I think we've had parity in the league for a lot of years. Actually, I think the MAC is a really tough league, and from top to bottom, you have to be ready to play every single day because anybody in the league can beat anybody, and when it comes playoff time, I think you have to get hot at the right time, and again, anybody can beat anybody on a given day. So I think that helps you get ready for the postseason, and the fact that, if you in the MAC tournament, if you lose, you're going home. So that's kind of what the postseason is as well, and hopefully prepare yourself and give the team a chance.
You guys have had such success in Albany at the tournament over the years. Curious your thoughts on a move to Atlantic City this year.
I'm looking forward to the new venue. I think it's going to be really exciting for everybody. The teams, I think, will like it. The fans will have a great experience there. There's a lot to do there. I think we've been to several places since I've been in the MAC, and the MAC does a really good job of hosting tournaments in different venues. Albany was a really good spot, and now I think Atlantic City would be a great spot as well.
Great. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
Hey, Coach. Ken Kreitzer, Sons American Legion Radio and WDOX in Rochelle. How are you?
Good, Ken. How you doing?
Real good, real good. Hey, just a quick thought. Ask you about, your team played so well in February and in the MAC tournament, and you got a couple of players coming back, E.J. Crawford, Asante Gist to one AG. How do you feel like what they accomplished last year will help build for this year?
Well, I think that's exactly it. They have to build from where they were last year, where we finished, and help the newcomers understand that it's a long process, and you have to work hard every single day. Otherwise, you're a basket away from, we could have lost in the first round had a foul shot or two been made. So that's how close and how fine the line is. And I just do like having some leadership back there, and I think they've done a great job with that so far.
And, Coach, last year my observation was when Tawan AG got healthy and back in the lineup, your team really took off. How do you see his role this year on the team?
Steve Masiello. He's much improved from a year ago, and I think when he finished the season is the way he's been approaching every day throughout the off season and into the preseason right now. And I think he's just getting better and better every day. He's put on about 10 to 15 pounds of muscle and worked on his game really hard. So we're expecting a big year from him on the court and as a leader to the other players.
And just we enjoyed so much watching E.J. Crawford grow, and he certainly was kind of the foundation, I thought, last year's team. How is he positioned for this year?
I think the same thing with EJ. He did lose 15 pounds. He's in better shape. He's a better athlete than what he was. I think the game has really slowed down for him in a lot of ways, and I think he's going to be a big part of the season. I think expect a great year out of him.
Thanks, Coach. See you soon.
Thank you, Jim. Be well.
Does anyone else have any questions for Coach Cluse?
Yes, and Dave Ford, just from the New Haven Register. Just looking ahead real quick.
Hey, yes.
Notice UConn, how you doing? UConn on the schedule this year. Can you talk about how that came about, getting them? I think for the first time since you've been the head coach there.
Well, Danny was nice enough to, our staff just reached out to them, and we were fortunate to get a game with them. They were still looking, and we played them when he was coaching at Rhode Island. So I think it was really nice to give us an opportunity to play UConn this year.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, Coach, I'll ask you one before we let you go. Iona had two preseason All-MAC first-team selections in AG and Crawford, along with a second-team selection in Gist. Can you speak on the respect that the league's coaches are showing those three?
Oh, I think it was tremendous that the coaches give those guys so much respect, and I think they finished the season out very strong for us last year, those three players. And it's an honor for them. Now they have to go out and prove that those coaches are right.
All right, thank you, Coach. If no one has any questions.
Thanks very much.
All right, thank you for your time, and good luck this season.
Thanks very much. Have a good one, guys.
Okay, we'll get started with Coach Steve Masiello. Coach, can you just start with your opening statement before we open it up for questions?
Yeah, very excited about this upcoming season. As always, the MAC is a very challenging league with tremendous coaches. Congratulations to Iona on being picked preseason number one and well-deserving.
All right, thank you, Coach. Does anyone have any questions?
Steve, it's Shaden. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. This team has possibly the most experience coming back since any other that you've had in the program since you came back in 2011. Do you see any similarities between this group and maybe the one from 13-14, which had a lot coming back and ended up winning the MAC?
No, I think just that we return a lot, and I think our personnel is much different. That doesn't. I'm not saying one's better or worse, but not a lot of similarities from a personnel standpoint. It's nice to have returning guys. It gives you the opportunity, as I've said many times, to have chemistry and cohesion moving forward. So that was something I was very happy with. We didn't have any departures, any transfers. We returned basically our team, and Paulie was sitting out. So at least it gives us an opportunity and a chance to have success when you return that many guys. Now you have to go out and do it and execute it.
And this group last year played its best basketball in January, February, and even early March, like some of your best teams have. Do you get a sense of unfinished business, a greater hunger perhaps with this group?
I don't think one year has anything to do with the next. I think they're very separate. I think we were playing good basketball in February, and then Tyler Reynolds got an ankle sprain going into the Iona game, and then we lost to Iona and Monmouth. I think, we took a step backwards when we lost those two at home. And, we finished, we got a win in the MAC tournament and advanced and went to overtime. But if you don't win, which obviously only one team does, of course there's unfinished business.
John Dunn.
That's one thing that, each year, each team has their own identity. And although we're conscious of what we've been through last year and what we went through, that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to define who we are this year.
You get Paulie back, fifth-year senior, and you've had success with guys that have been around that long, George, Rich Williams as well. How much has Paulie learned from having to sit out last year to make him more impactful this season, and now playing him alongside Warren? How much of an added dimension does that give you up front?
Well, I think anytime you can, whether you're a transfer or unfortunately through the injury, you sit out and you watch the game, you see it from a different perspective. I think the game slows down for you a little bit. I think you see things that you don't see necessarily when you're playing. So I think Paulie's, he's conscious of those things. He's also conscious of, understanding what goes into being a great teammate as he's always been, and understanding what goes into winning. So I'm excited for him to be on the court and be healthy and have an opportunity to compete.
And playing Paulie and Warren together, how much does that help Tyler maybe play a little more toward his natural position, kind of like a Shane or a Calvin in years past?
Obviously, with the way the game is today, there's so much spacing and offensive spacing. The three-point line is such a big part. You have to understand, if you play a big lineup, you still want to make sure you're getting enough three-point shot attempts. Obviously, Tyler Reynolds spaces the floor for us, and Warren and Paulie are two of the better bigs in the league. So anytime they're on the court, you're going to have a physical advantage on your front line. You want to make sure you're not losing anything, when it comes to the three-point shot, though.
And one more before I let you go. Samir, going into his first full season as a starter, how much of a dynamic did he give this team when he became a starter, and what does he provide intangibly that this group may not have had?
I don't know who's starting this year yet, but obviously Samir towards the end of the year was playing very good basketball. He's a guy that's a natural leader. I think he shoots the ball at a high clip, at a high level. Got a great IQ. So he's a guy that, obviously when the ball's in his hand and he's on the court, we're a better basketball team, and we want to continue to see the growth from him from a freshman to a sophomore year.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Good luck this year.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for Coach Masiello?
Hey, Coach. Greg Meskel here. How are you doing?
Good. How are you, Greg?
Good. Just wanted to ask you about the newcomers, the freshmen, and then Okafor coming in. Just kind of your thoughts on that group, and what has you excited about them, and then is there a guy amongst them that you feel like has the highest ceiling?
Yeah, we have three new guys basically that are I see more than likely going to play some significant minutes, and Romar Reed is a very talented guard, one of our best passing guards on the team, and is a natural point guard that does a great job. So he's a guy that, he's got to learn the college game. He's got to learn how to defend at the college level and understand what goes into competing at this level, as all freshmen do. But he's a guy that I think can make great strides once he starts to understand that. Adam Cisse is a freshman with an unbelievable upside. He comes in, he's a high-energy guy. He's very skilled. He came here late. We got him late. But I really think once he gets in great shape and understands what goes into being a college athlete, what I mean by that is just, time management, getting good night's sleep, and all those things that you can't compromise at this level. I think he's got a chance to be a very, very good player. And Michael Okafor is a gifted athlete, another high motor guy. He's long, he's athletic, he fits our style very well. So we have three guys that we feel fit our style very well. They're athletic, they're long, they're high energy guys, especially Adam and Michael. But they have a lot to learn. And the good thing is they have, 9 veterans around them, or 9 returners around them that can show them the way.
Excellent. And then talking about Warren, obviously the Paulie out, right? He got he got a bigger role last year. He seemed to get better as the year went on. What's the evolution for him? What do you want to see out of him to take that next step this season?
He's got to come in every night and be a double guy. That's what he's got to be. He's got to put his will on the game from a physical standpoint, from a just a mentality standpoint. He's got to have nights where even I expect him to see a lot of double teams, but there's no reason he shouldn't be able to go get 12 rebounds, affect the game with blocks on the defensive end. Obviously in the low post, he's very effective. He finished the year playing very well in the MAC tournament. I think he had 28 against Canisius. So we want to build on that. We want to make sure he's much more comfortable this year going over his right shoulder as opposed to last year. He was much more left shoulder dominant. So just working on those things, improving from the free throw line, getting more comfortable there. So just all the little things that make good players great. We want him to take great pride in those things.
Thanks, Coach.
We have time for one more question. All right, Coach, I'll ask you one. What's your goal for this team heading into the MAC championships at a new destination in Atlantic City?
To win.
All right, thank you, Coach. Good luck this season. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We have John Dunn on the line. Coach, can you start with your opening statement before we open it up for questions?
Just excited about the year. Obviously we have a lot of new faces. We understand with new faces, can come some inconsistency. So we're just got to work every day towards, being the most consistent team that we can. Learn not just to play hard on a daily basis, but even just from drill to drill. But I like our upside. I think there's a big light at the end of the tunnel, excited to get it strapped up here.
Thank you. Would anyone like to start it off with questions? I can get us started. Coach Dunn, like you mentioned, you have a relatively young team who has really emerged as a leader for your team this offseason.
So we have one lone senior, Tobias Schoberg, has been in the program, it's his fourth year. So, he's a guy that, we look to for some leadership. And I do have a handful of juniors, Michael Covich, Jordan Jones, who sat out last year, who, you just have to look towards your upperclassmen. But Mike Covich is going to have the ball in his hands a lot for us this year, and he's certainly a guy that needs to take on a leadership role. And then, it's really by a committee deal. We have a couple of guys that sophomores, even though they're just sophomores, they got some playing time last year. Matt Erasmus and Darius Hine. So we also have to call on those guys. So it's really a leadership by committee thing for us this year.
Thank you. Can you speak on your first game next week and how you're getting your team prepared for that?
We just, not unlike everybody else. I mean, this time of year, you're trying to figure out, your team, your guys, especially when you're new, what's working, what's not working. But at the end of the day, we're going to hang our hat on our toughness, our length and athleticism on the defensive end. So certainly we're grinding in that area. And then offensively, just like any other year, we want to, be a good execution team and be low turnover. So we haven't started preparing the team yet for VMI, but we're still, implementing our basics and our fundamentals. So it's a daily process.
Thanks, Coach. Who stands out to you as a player who we can expect to have a breakout season this year?
Again, I just go to our upperclassmen. We had a few guys sit out last year. Jordan Jones is a guy that's, got some nice touch in the interior for us. Michael Covich is a 6'4" ball handling guard who I suspect is going to have a really solid year for us. Matt Turner's just a sophomore. transferred in with 3 years of eligibility left, and he put the ball in the basket. So we're looking for him to to put the ball in the hole for us a little bit too.
Thank you, Coach. The MAC moves back to a 20-game conference slate this season. How do you prepare your team differently for those additional conference matchups?
We're not going to prepare them any differently than we would have in the past. I just think the big challenge is, when you play 3 games in 5 days and you do that multiple times, hopefully we'll have a deep enough bench where, we can spread out some minutes where we don't get too log jammed with minutes and get tired legs throughout the season. But, I think it's more probably maintenance, with their bodies than it is, great game preparation.
Thank you. Just a couple more questions here before we let you go. What are the biggest goals you've set for your team heading into this season?
I'm not exactly sure where our ceiling is, but what our ceiling is until you start going through the daily grind. What's in each player's heart, and head as you're going through a grind of a season. But clearly, just like any year, we want to, you don't want to be in the playing game. We want to be in the top 5. We want to get a bye and to give ourselves the best opportunity to win the conference tournament.
Thanks, Coach. Last question for me. What are you most looking forward to with the MAC championships moving to Atlantic City?
From a coaching standpoint, regardless of where it is, you're just worried about winning the tournament and preparing your team. I do think it's nice, for the fans, especially in the, metropolitan area, that getting down to Atlantic City. I know a lot of people have contacted me in the New York area that is excited about getting down there to not just see the games, but to have some social life and be able to parlay it with some festivities. So I'm happy for the fans, in particular ones that are close to Atlantic City, but from a coaching standpoint, it's all the same.
All right, thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time and good luck this season.
All right, thank you.
King Rice, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Great. Thank you for joining us this morning.
It's great to be here.
Thank you. Can you just start with your opening statement before we open it up for questions?
Well, the Mama's team is working hard so far this preseason. We've had a few injuries with some guys, some ankle injuries, and just some overall banged up guys. But I like our team. We're playing extremely hard, but we like the progress that we've made in a short period of time.
Thanks, Coach. Does anyone have a first question for King Rice?
Yeah, hey, King, Steve Edelson. Just curious, you guys finished so strong last year. Can you maybe talk about that experience and, getting to the championship game and how that has kind of pushed these kids forward through the off-season, the preseason, and how it can really help them moving forward this season?
Well, last year it's really been talked a lot about how we started our season, and it's a credit to our kids that they kept working hard and kept us with a chance to maybe do something special at the end of the year. I think we were very, very fortunate. We had a hard game against Niagara, could have went either way. And then it was like we really came together for the next 2 games, playing Canisius. They had just beaten us before that game at our place. And we felt like playing them again right away, we would have a chance, even though we hadn't played well against them. And we were fortunate to get that one. And the same thing with Quinnipiac. They had beaten us earlier in the year. We thought it was a good matchup for us, but they had been playing better ball than us. But our kids really, really bought into playing together, playing team basketball towards the end of the year. And then unfortunately for us, we ran into
Iona, who's really been our big brother since we've been in this league, and a lot of respect for them on championship night. They showed why they were the champions, and we showed we had a lot of work to do. But we were excited about getting there, but we got shown we got a lot of work to do in that championship game.
Just one more from me, King. Last year, I think there were 6 teams that ended up within 2 games of the lead in the regular season. You guys got in the mix. I would think as you go through a season that is that competitive, that really helps build your team. So I'm just curious on that and how competitive you think the league will be this year.
Well, I've been a guy that said it all along. This league is a tough league with the good players that are in our leagues. And then there's also really, really good coaching. And so every night, if you're not ready, somebody could beat you. And that's in a lot of leagues, but I think it's really like that in our league. On a given night, especially on the road, if you show up and you don't have your best game, you're probably going to go home with a loss. So I think the MAC has been like that for a long time. I think last year's league was like that, even though we didn't start as well as all of us would have liked. But I think it got really competitive down the stretch. And I think this year most teams, have some people back, and the guys are a year older. I've talked to a lot of the coaches where we think that our league will be better this year, and it's going to be very, very competitive. So hopefully my guys understand that night in and night out, this league is a tough one to deal with. And if you don't show up, you will get embarrassed.
Right. Thanks, King.
Does anyone else have any questions for Coach Rice?
Hey, Coach. Greg Meskel here. Good to talk with you. Just want to ask you about the schedule. You always put together a super competitive schedule. You've done it again this year. Just how does how does that schedule benefit your team as you get into conference play, going against some tough teams in non-conference?
Well, what I tried to do, and we've been doing it since we've been here, is we try to make it exciting for our kids by playing a few high major clubs. The hard part in our scheduling is getting people to come to your building, and not because we had so much success. It's just I think our league is respected out there, and a lot of coaches know that going into one of our buildings is going to be tough. And so a lot of people want to start on the road, want you to start on the road. And, I think sometimes when people see that we play a few high majors, they go, hey, that schedule's a hard schedule. But the thing that's been hard is finding mid-major games that are with people like you that will come to your building. So we've been the one that usually schedules hard because I like that. I think it prepared us last year, even though we didn't win many of those games. I think it prepared us to be tougher last year. It prepared us to make it to the championship. I thought last year's schedule was a little bit harder than this year's, just because all of the mid-major games were against teams that were favored to beat us. And when you have to schedule that way, you need to have some luck on your side in some of those games. But we don't back away from it. We like the schedule that we put out there, and it's going to be a tough one for us, but we feel like this one fits our club better than last year's schedule.
Thanks, Coach.
Any other questions? Coach, I'll ask you one.
John Kikas, Associated Press.
Coach, can you speak on the MAC championships moving closer to home in Atlantic City and what this means for both your team and for your fans?
Well, it's definitely gonna make a big deal because it's in Atlantic City and it's an hour drive. So we're hopeful that we have a great regular season to put ourselves in position to have a successful tournament down there. And I think it will be a big showing of Monmouth fans if we have a good regular season. I think some people will use it as a destination thing just to get down to Atlantic City. So I think for our fans and our students, it's exciting. For our players, we just want to give ourselves the best chance to win, and that's having a good regular season and finishing towards the top. And if you do that, I think with all the way the tournament goes, I think you give yourself a chance to win it. So we're excited that it's closer to home, but we also are taking a little bit of a wait and see. It's the first time down there, so hopefully a lot of people come. I think our league has had a lot of success.
AJ Canal.
Moving it around, and now it's moved to New Jersey, and hopefully we can use that to get us over the top.
Great. Thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Hi, Coach. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Can you just get started with your opening statement before we open it up for questions?
Sure. I am honored to represent the Niagara basketball program, and looking forward to an opportunity to work with our group. And we're continuing to work on a daily basis to get better each day.
Thanks, Coach. Would anyone like to start us off with questions? I can get us started. Coach, what are the biggest goals your coaching staff has set for this team heading into this season?
Sure. I think our goals are to continue to build our habits on a daily basis. That's something that we have focused on since we've arrived here, and that's something that we will continue to emphasize on a daily basis. And we have a saying that we want to be better today than we were yesterday, and that's something that we're working towards.
Greg, John.
Go ahead.
Good. All right. John Kikas with AP. How you doing?
I'm doing great, John. Great to hear from you.
Is this a little bit ahead of schedule? Your schedule, your personal schedule? Will you just catch you by surprise at all?
I'm sorry. Could you explain that a little bit?
Now, I assume that you at some point you want to be a head coach. Are you there sooner than you expected to be?
I think my main focus has always been to try to do the best job that I could in the current job that I was doing, and I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of experiences, and through those experiences of learning through terrific coaches, leaders, mentors that have become friends. You try to prepare yourself and think like a head coach so you can ultimately provide and assist the head coach in the right way. And, so I'm fortunate to have those experiences, and we will lean on those and learn from those experiences.
Right. Thanks, Coach.
Any other questions for Coach Paulus?
Hey, Greg.
Coach
Mark Singulace from the Albany Times Union. How are you?
Good, Mark. How you doing?
Fine, thank you. Hey, how do you get your players past the shock of having a coaching change, so close to the start of the season?
Well, I think it's important. The relationship with the players has been a focus of ours since we've gotten here. Having a chance to get to know them away from the court, having a chance to build trust. That takes time. And as we have been here for the last few months, we have tried to really place a strong emphasis on that, and our guys have done a great job in terms of building that with us. That's something that's important to our program. And, I've had a similar experience when I was at Louisville a couple years ago where the staff was put together right before the season in the middle of October. And, you're put in situations, like that to learn and help and be there for your players and your team and your program and to represent your university the right way. And so, that's what we're going to do.
Thank you.
someone starting another question before, if you want to go ahead.
Hey, Coach, Paul Cifinelli from Pickens Pointers in Rochester. I saw you guys have a couple of powerful mid-majors on the schedule. How are you going to take your experience from playing at Duke and from your prior assistant coaching experience to preparing your team for those games?
Well, I think it's important to share that we haven't discussed games. We haven't discussed what Game 5 is or Game 1, Game 10. For us, it's been to be better today than we were yesterday. For us, it's been focusing in on ourselves. How can we build consistency in our habits? How can we improve individually and collectively? And as we install our system, we want to make sure that we create an identity for how we can be at our best, and that's what our attention has been on from a coaching staff and a player standpoint.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Coach Paulus? Coach, I'll ask you one. Can you talk a little bit about this group of freshmen you guys have coming in and what we can expect to see from them this year?
Yeah, I think our makeup of our team is it's different. Obviously you have a new staff. There were 6 players that returned from last year's team, and then there was 9 additional players added this year. With us, it's a matter of creating a culture, creating a foundation. Our freshmen, we have with the freshmen that we have. We felt like we've gotten different strengths. Some guys can put it on the floor a little more. Some guys can shoot it. But we want those guys to be a part of creating a foundation for what we would like to have our program be about. And they've gotten better since the summertime, and they have continued to work diligently to improve since we started practice. It's been fun to watch their development in such a short time.
Thank you, Coach. Any other questions? I'll ask one more before I let you go. You talked about it a little, but can you speak more on how the team's been meshing this off-season and how you're getting everyone ready for next week?
Sure. We've had the guys here since the summertime, two summer sessions, and that was an important time for us. Whenever you put together a new staff and you have new players and you're trying to get to know each other, it's important that you spend time. So for us, the ability to do that early on in the summertime and continue that throughout the fall, that has allowed us to really catch up and install what we would like to. And as we move forward with this program, we will continue to do that. And we believe that the time that we've spent the summer, the fall, and that we will continue to invest in our student athletes will be a big part of what we want to do moving forward.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Have a great day.
We'll get started with Baker Dunleavy. Coach, do you just want to give your opening statement before we open it up for questions?
Sure. We're as a program really excited to have the start of the 1920 season so close here. For us, a little bit later than most. We start a little bit a week after most of the team, just because we play in a couple of events where our games are not close together. But nonetheless, really excited. We have a mixture of guys that are returning and new. I think we're looking forward to having kind of come together over the course of the year, much like every program, and look forward to the challenge of how good we can be by the end.
Thank you, Coach. As a reminder for everyone, please have your phone muted unless you're asking a question. With that, would anyone like to start us off with questions?
Hey, Baker. It's Dave Forges, New Haven Register. How you doing?
Hey, Dave. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Year 3, entering year 3 of your tenure there in what essentially is a rebuild. Do you think that? Do you like the way the program sort of looks? Entering year 3, does it look the way it should? And do you like the progress you've made over your first 2 years so far there at Quinnipiac?
Yeah, I mean it's a good question. I think anytime you're building something, whether it's a team or anything else, you're monitoring your progress, but also keeping your eye on your goals, where you eventually want to be. And for us, that's being a championship level program. We were close to that last year in the regular season, but we didn't achieve that. So I like the mindset of our program. I like the development, and I think we're thinking bigger. I think we want to keep growing. So I do like the people we have in our locker room. I love our staff. I love some of the things we've been able to accomplish early, but certainly have a long ways to go in terms of accomplishing the bigger goals.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Baker?
Mark Singulace from the Albany Times Union. Hi, Baker. How you doing?
Hey, Mark. I'm great. Thanks.
Hey, you might have heard, I don't know if you heard King on the call earlier saying that he had talked to a lot of the coaches and that they thought that the league is going to be better this year. Would you share that opinion?
Yeah, I would agree. I think, as you learn from veteran coaches who have been around for a long time, a good way to measure, predicting success in college basketball simply is returning talent and guys who have been in a system, who have been coached by that coach and are coming back. And I think we have way more of that than we did last year. I think there was a lot of newness to our league last year, whether it's roster turnover, graduation, transfer, or coaching changes. And I think, the rosters have a little bit more consistency to them year over year this year. Take, for example, a team like us. Obviously, we lose our leading scorer and the MAC Player of the Year, which is significant, but return the rest of our roster. You can kind of point to different rosters around the league that have a lot of continuity. And I think that was something our league was missing last year, and especially that shows more than anything early in your preseason, and I think that showed in our conference preseason last year.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Coach, I'll ask you one. You had a preseason first-team selection in Rich Kelly. What can we expect to see from him this season?
Yeah, proud of Rich and his development so far. I think the main thing throughout his career has been a continued focus on how good he can be defensively, and continuing to make strides for a guy who might not be the most athletic guy, but be a great team defender, be a tough on-ball defender, be a two-way player, because I think offensively he's as good as anybody in our league as far as shooting the ball or even making guys better. So we love what he brings offensively, and he's been really, really taking the challenge on to become a better defender. And the preseason, I think, selection is really an honor that he would be chosen that by the coaches, but he and I both know what really matters is what happens at the end of the year. And
thank you, Coach.
Sure.
How has Jacob Rigoni improved this offseason, and what can we expect to see from him this year?
Well, I think for Jacob and Rich, they're the guys in our program with the most experience as juniors. And it sounds funny to say because they are. They're just coming off their sophomore year, but they have way more experience than anybody on our roster. So they're the guys that, for us, they understand my expectations and the way we're supposed to do things. So especially for Jacob, a guy that has great toughness and obviously ability to shoot the ball. Just being an example and living example of the way our guys are supposed to do things every day, and becoming more of a vocal leader. Honestly, I think those are the main things. I think what he is as a player, he brings a lot to the table. I think his leadership will continue to grow.
Thanks, Coach. If no one has any other questions, I'll just ask one more before we let you go. Last question from me. Quinnipiac set to play a couple of games at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City this December. How do you think that'll help your team prepare for the MAC championships there this year?
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I think it'll prepare us in a lot of ways. We're going to play two really good teams down there, and then also, it just never hurts to get into the venue you've never been in you've never played in, I should say, and that's going to host your conference tournament. What actually wasn't that calculated on our part. I think this was something we were considering for a couple of years before it was.
Kevin Baggett.
It's an added bonus for us for sure. And as a program, we're looking forward to playing that tournament in New Jersey, where a lot of our alumni reside, and an easy commute for our fans. So we're honored and excited to be a part of that.
Great. Thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time.
All right. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you. Good luck this season.
Thanks. Bye.
We have Coach Kevin Baggett on the line. Coach, could you start with your opening statement before we open it up for questions?
Yes. Excited about the year. We got a lot of returning players back. Freddie Scott, Dementio Vaughn, Tyre Marshall, Stevie Jordan, and a number of other guys as well. We're excited about our young kids. We're excited about the year. Just pretty much doing what everybody else is doing right now, just trying to get better every day and get our guys prepared for November 5th, our opening game against Coppin State.
Thanks, Coach. Does anyone have a first question for Coach Baggett?
Hey, Kevin, it's Kyle.
Hey, Kyle.
You had this exhibition on Saturday. What kind of performance do you want to see from that, with it being only 3 days away from the start of the regular season?
I just want to see us making sure that we're focused on the right things, on the defensive end, sharing the ball, executing, and doing the things that we've been emphasizing since the summer when we had the guys in summer workouts, and just individual improvement as well, as guys taking care of the ball, making the right decisions.
Thanks, Kevin.
No problem.
Hey, Coach, Dylan Manfi, the Rider News. How has the team really adjusted to the three-point line being moved back now that you've had more time to practice on it?
It's just like anything else. I mean, you just continually work on it. Most of our guys have taken shots and reps. Since they moved the line, we've had a chance to have everybody back in the summertime. Again, they're shooting it and they're making them, a lot of them, but until the game goes live, that's when we'll see, exactly how much the moving that line back will impact not only us, but impact our opponents as well. But we've been focused on it since the summertime, so I'm hoping we're ready. We didn't shoot it nearly as well last year as we did 2 years ago, so I'm certainly hoping some of the guys that we have in our program now will help us to shoot it at a little better percentage this year.
And I'm just curious now, you guys are getting back some of the guys who redshirted last season, Bladen, Randall, etc. So how do you see those two guys being integrated into a lineup?
Yeah, I think Tyree Randall will be. We're going to place him in at the sixth man. He's a guy that we're really counting on. Obviously, Jordan Allen left last year, so now we're relying on a little bit more of Tyree's three-point shooting, and just being experienced now. I haven't been in our program for the third year now. Him maturing, developing his body, and having a year to sit out to get better mentally and physically, for that matter, along with his skill set. And then Terrell Bladen being a freshman, we just kind of want him to take it slow. He's got two veteran guys in front of him. He's got a senior and Tyre Marshall ahead of him. He's got a Jerry Johnson who's returning for his sophomore year. And so for Terrell, we're just asking him just to pay attention to the little things, playing defense, rebounding, running the floor, whatever ball screen he's at, we might ask him to set him and then spread into the rim and take any little opportunities that'll come his way. But he's got a small role right now until we get him a little more experience. But he's certainly going to play a big role as time goes on.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Any other questions for Coach Baggett? Coach, I'll ask you a few. Ryder led the MAC with 4 preseason All-MAC selections. What does this nod from the league's coaches say about your returners?
I guess they think those guys are gonna have individually good seasons, but for me, I don't get caught up in all that stuff. I just want our guys to stay focused, play as a team, and not worry about individual awards. If we have a good year, like we had 2 years, we had 4 or 5 guys all conference, and so to me, that's more of what your team does than the individual accolades. We had 2 guys last year that made it, Stevie Jordan and Freddie Scott, but we didn't have the year nearly we wanted to have. So again, just going back and focusing on being a team and being a great team, and then the individual awards will come.
Thanks, Coach. Another question for you. Can you speak on the MAC championships moving closer to home in Atlantic City and what this means for your team and its fans?
Yeah, I'm excited. One, first and foremost, it's a neutral site. So I got to emphasize that. I think it's a great venue being at Atlantic City. It's an opportunity for our fans, from Ryder, I would say maybe no more than an hour and 15 minutes to be able to come out and support us. It's Atlantic City is a great area. There's a lot of things to do. You have your outlets, you got restaurants, you got casinos, I know it'll be cold, but, you got the ocean there. I just think it's having been to the Atlantic 10 tournament a number of times, I just think it's a great opportunity for us to experience something different, and the opportunity for everybody to play on a neutral site. And for our fans, they can get to Atlantic City a lot easier than what it was to get to Albany. So it's going to be great for us all. We're looking forward to it. I think Rich Enzer and his staff did an unbelievable job to be able to land this venue there down at Atlantic City. So I think it'll be good for everybody, including Sienna.
Thanks, Coach. Thinking about the non-conference schedule, Ryder has a few big games against Arizona State, Wisconsin, among others. How do these big opportunities help prepare the team for the conference schedule?
Well, I just think the more you can have the opportunity to go up against these teams that have a lot of talent and they're higher level, so to speak, to me, if you can compete in those games and give yourself maybe an opportunity to steal one of those games, and I certainly think the experience factor of that going into our league, being that there's a lot of talented teams in our league also, but I think that'll help us. It'll help us engage and understand where we are as a team and where we need to get to as a team. And, again, all of the little details have to show up if we're going to compete against those teams. So it's a great opportunity for us. We always want to make sure that we go and we play them. We just don't play them. We give ourselves an opportunity to hopefully go out and steal 1 or 2 of those games, if not more.
Thanks, Coach. If there are no other questions for Coach Baggett, I'll just ask one more before I let you go.
Yes.
What are the biggest goals you've set for your team heading into this season?
Just for me to get back to guys buying in, get back to being a team, get back to guys playing together, and just taking one day at a time. And, our next opponent, whoever that might be on our schedule, just be prepared and ready to go and compete, play as hard as you can, and let the chips fall where they may.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Can you just get started with your opening statement before we open it up for questions?
Well, definitely looking forward to it. Practice has been going well. Got a lot of young, new guys that we got to try to implement inside the program and get them to understand what we're looking for. Definitely looking forward to the season. Guys are tired of practicing against each other and beating each other up, so it'll be good to go against other people. Just looking forward to see, different combinations that I have and who's going to step up. We got a lot of guys fighting for positions, so I think that's good and bad at the same time.
Great. Thank you, Coach. Would anyone like to get us started with questions? All right, Coach, I'll get us started. What can we expect from your group of seniors this year?
Well, I think, same thing as last year, just a group of guys coming out playing hard and competing. Like I said, we are young. Got a lot of new guys, so I'm not sure what to expect with that. Just, curious to see how guys compete on the college level, or the young guys.
Great, thank you, Coach. And can you speak more on the freshman class and what impact they'll have this season?
I think we got a talented group of freshmen. I think they're going to have a major impact on the future of St. Peter's. We brought in 6 freshmen. Still got a transfer in Nasir Blasik. I think, Aaron Estrada, I'm looking forward to see what he can do. He's a talented, gifted, crafty young guard. Obviously, the twins, coming in with some height. And, Darryl and Doug. So it's exciting because it's refreshing to have kids that, kind of represent my attitude and the way I want to play. And so these are the guys that we went out and got.
Thank you. Shaheen, this is Dave Forges from the New Haven Register. I just wanted to ask you, I'm doing well, thanks. Everything good?
Yes, sir.
Good. I just noticed you guys are playing UConn this season. I know this is, up in the future a little bit, but wanted to know how that came together. Did that come about through a relationship with Dan Hurley, or how did that game come about this season?
Well, it definitely came about the relationship that I have with Danny Hurley. But also, every year I want to play the best teams in the non-conference. I know I want to challenge our guys to get out and play at least 2 or 3 big-time games. And I'm very fortunate this year to have UConn, Providence, and St. John's on the schedule. And they're all local games. And I actually want to play local games. Last year we played at Auburn, at North Carolina State, and at Clemson. I thought the travel kind of wore us out a little bit, so I wanted to kind of keep it local.
And you and Coach Hurley have known each other for a long time, obviously?
Yes, I know Denny for a long time. I know Denny since Seton Hall was recruiting me back in '96. He was the starting point guard when, the year that they was recruiting me, and I kind of replaced him. So, yeah, Denny and myself go back a while.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Coach Holloway? Coach, I'll ask you, who has really emerged as a leader for your team this offseason?
I think Quinn Taylor. Quinn Taylor is someone that's been in the program for 4 years. He's my hardest working player. Cam Jones as well, coming back over ACL surgery. So those 2 guys have kind of really been vocal leaders for our team. I would say those 2 guys.
Thanks, Coach. Just a couple more questions for you here. Do you mean for your team to have the MAC championships moving to New Jersey this year?
Well, I think it's exciting for everyone, not just the Jersey teams. I think it's exciting for the whole MAC. It's only a fresh start, a neutral site for everyone. Being in Atlantic City is a great place to have it. I think you get a chance to get to New York, New Jersey, and Philadelphia, and also a little bit of Baltimore and DC. Fans to come down and watch. So I think it's a great thing for the MAC as well.
Thank you, Coach. One last question before I let you go. What are the biggest goals you've set for your team heading into this season?
You know what? The only goal that we have is to play together and stay together. No matter what happens throughout the whole game, no matter what happens throughout the season, let's just play together and stay together. That's the goal that we have for our team this year.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Good luck this season.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, we have Coach Carmen Massarello on the line from Siena. Coach, can you just get started with your opening statement before we open it up for questions?
No, just excited for tremendous coaches, tremendous players, great opportunities for our student athletes to enjoy what the conference is all about.
Thanks, Coach. Would anyone like to get us started off with questions? I can get us started. Coach, what are the biggest goals you've set for this team in year 1 as head coach?
Yeah, pretty simple. Just get better every day. There's always going to be outside noise, especially at Siena, and just working on our process. We're getting better every day and in our approach to how we attack each day.
Thanks, Coach. Jalen Pickett was voted the MAC Rookie of the Year last season, and then we heard last week he's the Preseason Player of the Year for this year. What can we expect to see from him this season?
Just Jalen's going to be Jalen every single night. You know, he's a winner, a competitor. He's going to play his game, and hopefully, you know, worries about the details with everything we do, and we'll be in a great spot. But, you know, Jalen's always a competitor. He always wants to play. You know, after a scrimmage, he'll play 38 minutes, and he'll want to have played 40. So I said you weren't playing hard enough then. That's my comment to him. Should never be able to play 40 minutes, but I said if we get to that MAC championship game, maybe he'll have to.
Thank you, Coach. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Hey, Carmen, Mark Singlais, how you doing?
Hey, Mark, long time. How are you?
Yeah, it's been at least a couple of days. Hey, aside from Jalen, obviously, have you settled on a starting five for American yet?
No, not yet. I think, you know, anticipation's a great thing, and it makes guys really hold each other accountable during practice. So you probably won't know till tip.
And one other thing, a couple of coaches on the call had mentioned they think that the MAC should be improved from a year ago. Do you get the same sense that it should be a stronger league overall?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I didn't think it was bad last year. I think it was a lot of parity, but, you know, I think there was a lot of younger teams in the league. I think now you got a little older teams. You got great coaching, and, you know, I'm excited. I think it's, you know, going to be a great year.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have questions? Coach, can you talk a little bit about your first game and how you're getting your team prepared for next week?
Yeah, you know, we had already 2 inter-squad scrimmages with referees. We had, obviously, 2 close scrimmages that I thought were beneficial for our development and growth. And then we'll have one more close scrimmage with referees inter-squad on Thursday. And just trying to get these guys to understand the pace we want to play. Not really concerned about our opponent on opening night right now. Just kind of, you know, making sure we're working on ourselves and in the little details that'll lead to success on the court.
Thanks, Coach. Other than Pickett, who we've already talked about, who else can we expect a breakout season from this year?
You know, it's a big year for probably, I would say, Manny Camper, who's done a great job, who's just a tireless worker. You know, he went from being a guy that, you know, barely played his freshman year to kind of a workman's role last year as a sophomore, and now he'll be expected to do a little more. Don Carey and Elijah Burns both redshirted and sat out, but, you know, both have a great grasp of our vision here and how we want to play. And then, you know, some freshmen and some grad transfers. I think, you know, Matt Hine, Gary Harris, those 2 guys need to be able to kind of step up and kind of grow as first-year players under my tutelage.
Thanks, Coach. A couple more questions here. The MAC moves back to a 20-game conference late this season. Do you guys prepare any differently for these additional conference matchups?
No, nothing changes.
Thanks, Coach. Does anyone else have any other questions? If not, we'll ask you one more before we let you go.
Sure thing.
All right, Coach, can you just talk a little bit about the conference championships moving to Atlantic City this year and what your team's looking forward to with that?
Just looking for an opportunity to cut down those nets. I mean, to be honest, everyone makes a big hoopla over whether it's in Atlantic City or Springfield or Bridgeport. And at the end of the day, your team's got to be playing good basketball to win. It doesn't really matter where it's taking place. So wherever that conference tournament is, we're excited to play in it.
Great. Thank you, Coach. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Good morning, everybody. This is Taylor O'Connor at the MAC office. After hearing from all our men's coaches, we're going to switch over now to our top 4 women's coaches as voted on in the preseason poll. Coach Georges, you're up first. If you just want to give a quick opening statement.
You know, our team is really looking forward to our first game next Friday. You know, it's that time of the year where you get tired of playing against each other and you're ready to start to see what you have. We're really looking forward to the season. I think it's going to be another great season in the MAC.
Thanks, Coach. We'll open it up to questions now. Coach, I can start us off. Just looking back at last year's championship game's starting lineup, you return all of your starters. What does that mean to you, not really losing anybody in that lineup and returning players such as Alana and Rebecca?
I think it means a lot. It's always great when you have people who have been playing who are actually going into their third or fourth year for us. It makes practice a little easier, and especially with the way the season ended last year, we remember 81-51 real well. So, we remember that score pretty well, and it's been our rallying point going into this season.
So going off of those two players, Gilmer and Hand, both were named to the preseason All-MAC first team, with Lana being a unanimous choice. What does that really have to say about the respect that the league's coaches are showing those two?
They're very good players. I mean, we have a lot of great players in our league. And, Rebecca's been good for 3 years, and Alana's been good for the last 2 years. And, they've been the heart and soul of our team. And with Grace Vanderwhite and stuff, it gives us a good nucleus to move forward into this season.
So you just mentioned Grace as well, along with Alana and Rebecca. Those three as your captains, what kind of leadership roles do they have, and how do they guide the younger classes?
Well, one thing for sure, they know how to lead, especially Grace, which you want in a point guard. And I just let them do their thing. I mean, they huddle everybody up before and after practice, and they do a number of different things off the court. I think they're tremendous leaders, and they're hungry.
Thanks, Coach. So Quinnipiac is coming off those 3 consecutive championships and really hasn't lost to a MAC opponent in a while. But Marist was still chosen as this year's top seed. So what do you think the league's coaches see in your team this year that makes them, think they're going to take home the MAC championship?
Well, basically the experience. A lot of these kids have been around for 3 and 4 years, and that we have all 5 starters back and possibly a 6th. And that, Quinnipiac lost a group. A group of arguably the greatest players that have ever played in the MAC, as a group. And, but they didn't play just a solid 5. They had, the 6th player of the year, a couple other great kids off the bench. They have a transfer that sat out that's on a preseason MAC all team, which is a rarity for our coaches to vote for somebody who hasn't played yet in the MAC. I mean, I had that experience before. And they have some really great freshman talent. So, that's why they got voted second. But I think the only difference is we have 5 starters back and they have none.
Thanks, Coach. We have one more question for you. If anybody else wants to hop on and grab a question quick, now's the chance. But with the MAC championships moving down this year to Atlantic City, what's that mean to really your team, a new neutral championship site, and kind of like a fresh start?
We're extremely excited. Again, it's a different venue. Nobody has played there. The first time anybody will play there will be in the MAC championships. Atlantic City obviously is a fun city. It's a hot resort spot, and we're really excited. And it seems like the city of Atlantic City is really excited to have us be there. And when we went down and took a look at the venue in June when we had our MAC meetings down there, it brought a lot of excitement. I mean, at least to me, I think it's going to be a great venue, and I think, the MAC always does a great job and works real hard to put on, a tremendous program, and, hopefully, all of our teams on both the men and the women's side go down and give a performance to be remembered.
Well, thanks, Coach. Really appreciate you hopping on. Best of luck this upcoming season.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, we know you have a busy schedule, so we'll start this one a little early, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Cool. If you could just begin with an opening statement, and we'll get going.
You got it. I hope everyone's doing great. I'd like to wish all our MAC teams, men and women, a really successful non-conference. Our Bobcats are excited to kick off the season 1 week from today. We'll clearly have our hands full with a very talented and extremely well-coached Denise Dillon team of Drexel next Tuesday. But we're looking forward to see, what we do become this year.
Thanks, Coach. We'll open up the call now to any questions. I can get us started, Coach. So,
sure.
You lost your entire starting lineup from a year ago, as mentioned on the last call, with all of them graduating. How much will their presence really be missed, and what can you say about the new crop of freshmen that's coming in?
Yeah, we certainly, I miss, all of them for more reasons than just basketball, but certainly they've been a comfort blanket for us for a number of years, and they've been not only great individual players, but, where they have brought this program to a whole nother height of national recognition and all the postseason wins in terms of the NCAA. But, we're starting a whole new, era with, a really solid roster of talent and, experience, and seniors are, we're asking them to be our bridge, and our rookies are out there learning, but, to compete, our pillars and our values, have always been a part of our system. They are here, and, we're just looking for experience, game experience, and growing through that, and excited to, to see where we do go, and knowing that November and December and our always difficult non-conference will prepare us for, the MAC season. So, we're going to be very different come February than what we are right now, but we certainly have talent, and we're growing and cultivating, through our execution and systems and learning. So that's going to be a process all year long, and being our best come later part in the MAC season heading into Atlantic City.
Thanks, Coach. Is there anybody specific that you expect to step up this year?
Well, our strength has always been in numbers and playing all our players, so it's going to be the development of everybody. And, we certainly have been leaning on our seniors in terms of Paige Warfel, Taylor Hurd, Jaden Ward, and being the bridge to the younger players. Everybody's had a really good summer into fall. But again, it's a process of not having the experience and getting the experience through the game. So we're going to be counting on everybody equally to do their jobs and grow our team through November and December.
So you've mentioned your senior class twice now, and those ladies have really been on, the winning side of things and have that experience in the MAC championship and also the NCAAs. What have they been kind of telling the younger classmen, especially like the freshmen, and what kind of examples have they been setting?
Well, I think the example has been just an extension of, how we go about our business in terms of, being prepared, what we're doing, with our strength and conditioning in the classroom, in the community, and on the court, and, how we take care of ourselves when we're not on the basketball court, really what goes into being a women's basketball player and part of a program that doesn't happen during the 4 hours when you're in the building. I think that is the most important value that these seniors bring to the rookies. The rookies know why they're here. Clearly, that's why they said yes to Quinnipiac. I think it's all the other 20 hours of the day that helps them transition to becoming, really completely immersed in the culture of Quinnipiac women's basketball, and that's where we've been leaning, and that's why, I speak to them as being really the bridge, and that's why it's been so important, because we've just been so youthful. And the entire roster, and they've been invaluable in that respect.
Thanks, Coach. Just moving on, your team hasn't lost to a MAC opponent in over 50 games, which is an incredible feat, yet was picked second in this year's preseason poll. To you, what does that say about this year's Marist team, and as strange as it may sound, do you feel like an underdog?
No, not losing a starting five and over 1,800 points, and what those young ladies have meant to the program. So, no, I didn't even place us that high. So, I think, Marist and Ryder, obviously the veteran players, the talent that they have, and the coaches that are coaching and leading their programs clearly are wearing the bullseye on their back. And I do feel that by, again, that mid-MAC calendar season comes around, that we're going to be where we need to be in terms of competing with the veteran players and the teams that they do have. You could throw everybody else in there with the MAC and growing, with Manhattan as well, and Fairfield really finished last year very strong, and Lou Lopez and Sam Kramer, and the roster that they do have, and obviously Joe leading the program down there. So, we've always been short-sighted. We know that we never really kind of looked at like that's a goal. The goal is obviously to play our best and win the game that we are playing, and then that's just, what we've been able to achieve. But that's also in the past, and we're becoming, who we are now, and that's always how we've always looked at each season.
Thanks, Coach. We have one more question over here. If anybody else wants to step in, now would be the time. So, Coach, this year the MAC championship moves to Atlantic City. Is there any difference? Is there a different way that you guys will be preparing for a new venue? Obviously, Albany has been very kind to you the last couple of years, but what's this new venue really mean for your team?
For me, it's a homecoming. I'm gonna have a couple hundred people down there watching the Bobcats play. My entire family and extended relatives and friends. I'm a South Jersey girl, so we can't wait to head south to Atlantic City and experience, all that it has to offer in a new venue. Again, you can't live in the past. This is the future, and we're really excited with the MAC moving our championships down to Atlantic City. We can't wait.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to hop on this call. Best of luck this season.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll get going here. Coach Milligan, thanks for hopping on. If you want, please begin with your opening statement.
Yeah, echoing, what a lot of people have said already. Just really excited for the season to get started. October is always that month where you're, kind of grinding it out and beating each other up. And, we've been able to play a scrimmage or two. So just excited for next Tuesday up at Princeton to see what we have and get the season started.
Thank you. We'll open it up for questions now, if anybody has any. I can start it off. Coach, your team looked very good at the end of last year's schedule, taking down Marist twice in the regular season and coming close to handing Quinnipiac their first loss in MAC play in a long time. What will it really take from your squad this year to get over that hump and potentially win a MAC championship?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we struggled with last year was just our consistency level. We had a pretty decent January and February, and March came, and, we kind of forgot how to play. So just, recognizing, the grind of what we need to do to be successful, really when it counts. But, we were happy with our conference play last year during the season. But consistency is a thing for us that we've worked really hard on. And the other thing we think we've done is just develop a little bit more depth than we had last year. To be able to play some different lineups and some different combinations, more so than we were later in the season last year.
You mentioned adding more depth to this year's roster. What can you speak on some of the freshmen you added and other players that you look to step up?
Yeah, I think, the depth comes from, our upperclassmen, first and foremost, just getting better at their game, with our player development, which we put a lot of emphasis on. The commitment that our players made over the summer, postseason, preseason, kind of like what Brian said, we had a bad taste in our mouth the way our season ended, and, our kids are hungry. So, I think, actions always speak louder than words, and I think we saw a lot of action this summer and commitment level from our older kids. So I think a lot of them, people might not know, and I think will when it's all said and done. And then, this freshman group we brought in, I think the biggest thing that they are is they're just a mature group. It's not easy being a freshman with 6 seniors who kind of, know how we do things. They know our culture. They know how practice goes. They know every drill. They know every play. And these freshmen have done a really good job of listening and learning and competing and challenging our older kids to make them better. We just have a nice group of just mature kids that want to do whatever they have to do.
Cool. So it's hard not to ask a question without mentioning Stella. and the season that she came off of. What have you been telling her to get similar, if not better, production from her in her senior year?
Oh, that's really the best part about Stella is I don't have to tell her anything. She's probably one of the most committed, self-disciplined kids that I've ever coached. She knows exactly what she needs to do every day to raise the level of her game, and then in turn she knows when she raises her game that her teammates will follow, and she raises their game. She makes everybody better every day, but Stella's a very focused young lady. The way she handles herself on a day-to-day basis, pushing herself towards greatness every day it's a privilege really to watch, to be honest with you. I mean, she just does things the right way every day. She knows that, the bullseye's on her back. She knows, based on the year that she had last year, that people are obviously going to, try and come, not come after her, but try to stop her. She's going to be a focal point of scouts, obviously. And she's preparing herself more mentally than physically this year, so that she can make sure that she keeps her emotions in check and she stays, on the floor to make her team better.
Just backtracking a little bit, you mentioned the group of seniors that you have, a large group, and someone like Stella having not necessarily a target on her back, but people will be coming after her. Do you think that this group of seniors maybe has a little bit more pressure than normally would to get a job done, especially with teams recognizing on how good Ryder really is this year?
Well, I mean, pressure's privilege the way we look at it, and this group of seniors, it's kind of earned where they are right now. Is it new for us? Yeah. I mean, we're not. We haven't been Marison, Quinnipiac, and perennially been at the top of this league, but these young ladies have worked really hard to put themselves in a situation, and we want to embrace that. It's not something that we want to put extra pressure on ourselves. We don't want to fear it. We just want to work hard every day and make sure that we're as prepared as we can be for whoever opponent is on that day. But it is new for us. There's no getting around that. It's definitely obviously the highest expectations we've had as a program. Maybe ever. So obviously since I've been here, but we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to the challenge. We talk about it as a challenge and as a privilege for us to go out there and play Ryder basketball every day to the best of our ability.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Coach. Dylan.
Good.
Coach, it's Dylan from the Ryder News. How are you?
How you doing, Dylan?
Good. Just want to get your thoughts on how excited the girls really are for this first exhibition game against TCNJ, and what really your expectations are coming from that game. Is there anything you want to really see answered in that game?
Well, I mean, after our scrimmage and stuff this weekend, we want to make sure that the things that we worked on and that we focused on, since we've been able to go live, that we tighten up. It's kind of that last dress rehearsal before our first game. I think it gives, we did have the advantage of the young kids putting their uniforms on in Puerto Rico over the summer, but it's not the same, when you're in front of your home crowd and coming out of your home locker room and sitting on your home bench and, playing in front of your family and friends for the first time. So, the emotions will be there, particularly for the younger kids, which is good. We want to get that sorted out in them so they understand, the preparation and the level of play that you need on game day. And the older kids, I think for them it's that final piece of making sure that everything's tightened up that we've been working on, some of the emphasis that we've been trying to stress, that we continue to take steps in that direction to make ourselves better.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Got it, Dylan.
So, Coach, with the MAC championships moving to Atlantic City this year, obviously very close to Ryder, do you think the opportunity presents itself to have sort of a home field advantage?
I'd like to hope so, yeah. I mean, certainly, the university as a whole is really promoting it and working very hard within our alumni, in our campus community to make sure that we can have as much support as possible. It's a great thing, though. I mean, like Trish, I'm a South Jersey girl, so it's, I live closer to Atlantic City than I do to Ryder. So it's going to be exciting for us to be able to play a little closer to home, to play on a neutral floor in a destination city where a lot of fans can come. I mean, the city is embraced to the MAC. They're looking forward to having us there, and I think everybody's really looking forward to the change. And I think it's going to overall be a great event, a great couple days, and great for both the men and the women.
So you said the university was doing a lot to really promote it and get fans down there. But what do you specifically want to say to Rider fans who could potentially make the trek down to AC in March?
Well, I'd like to tell them it'd be worth the ride. Obviously with, our men's team picked second, and hopefully we do our job. You hope you're there for a couple days where it can be more of an exciting atmosphere. But obviously, when you're close to the venue, you hope that your fans come, like you said, to give us a little bit of that support, to give us a little bit of that, camaraderie and excitement in that building, maybe more so than we may have had in Albany, since that was a much farther trip for us. But, I hope that the fans really want to come out and support both of our programs and really, make Atlantic City home for a couple days and try to push us over the top.
Thanks, Coach. Just want to say we really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to hop on this call. And best of luck for the rest of the season.
Anytime. Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right, Coach, we'll begin a little bit early. If you want, just prepare or state your opening statement, and we'll get going.
All right. First off, I'm incredibly excited for the season. This is the start of our fourth year since we took over the program, and now I feel we're in a situation where we have talent that has experience, and I think this group is really dynamic and is really excited to just represent Manhattan College to the best of its ability and to make an attempt to get into the top of the league.
Thanks, Coach. We'll open it up to questions now. Coach, Gabby Gajou was named the MAC Sixth Player of the Year in 2017-18, but missed most of last season with an injury. So how much does it really help your squad with her being back?
Well, first off, I have to give all the credit to the world to our doctors and training staff because Gabby looks even faster than she did before the injury. She looks phenomenal. She's a phenomenal athlete. But besides her athleticism, her biggest attribute to our team is our team just absolutely loves playing with her. She's just a really good human being with just a dynamic energy about her. She makes her teammates believe in themselves. Like, she's just a great leader. She's now a two-time captain for me. So this is her second year being captain. But she's a huge boost. I mean, she's a dynamic impact on offense with her ability to get to the rim. She's been working on her outside shot. It looks incredible. And then defensively, like I said, her speed is something you just can't coach. She just has it. So we're really, really excited and blessed that Gabby's back on the court with us.
So, Coach, when players miss time like that, they often have an opportunity to focus on other aspects of their game. That's not exactly physical, maybe more mental. Has Gabby been working on any aspects like that to make her even more prepared for the season?
Yeah, the biggest things that we had her work on last year was her leadership. Like, I just felt like she's always been kind of like a rah-rah leader. Like, she just has that happy, we can do this, real positive attitude. But we were asking her to try to take that next step to lead when, the tough conversations that you have to have with your teammates. And maybe not everything is positive. And I feel like she's been a more mature leader this year, and then also we still had her do just as much film work as everybody else last year, because as a point guard you have to know your reads, you have to know the time and situation, and I just feel her vision on the court, her understanding of what we're trying to accomplish in the offense has really just taken up a couple notches. Like, she looks great out there.
Coach,
Dominique
is Courtney Worley, after being named to the OMAC first team and last year was named the Defensive Player of the Year. What can we expect to see from her, and what aspects of her game have improved or changed?
I feel our strength coach has done an incredible job with the whole team, but specifically Courtney, I mean, she just looks even quicker than last year, more confident with what she's able to do. She's just a 6'3" gazelle that just makes things happen on the defensive end. And now the big challenge we've given to her is to apply that same athleticism and instincts on the offensive end. And she's really shown that she wants to score more. She's been more aggressive. So I think we're going to see just a more dynamic player out on the floor besides just the defense. I think she's really done a great job of really wanting to score and putting the time in to be an effective scorer.
So, Coach, one word I've heard you say a couple times has been experience. So I guess my question is, how is that experience going to help your team this year potentially overtake one of the perennial powerhouses such as, a Quinnipiac, a Marist, Ryder with the class of their return? How will your team, now that they've had time to gel, be better suited to win a MAC championship?
Well, the exciting thing with our team is even, we had 3 ACLs last year. Besides Gabby, we lost our grad transfer, our only senior we had on the roster last year, to an ACL in January. And then we lost our best freshman all-rookie player, Deanna Davis, in February. And even with those injuries, we still were able to find a way to beat Marist at Marist and Ryder at Ryder. So our big thing is now with this experience, I don't want us to think we're the underdogs going into every game. Now I want, we have had experience of winning big games on the road and been successful, but now I want our group to have this more of the expectation. But the experience factor, our practices this year have just been another level. I just feel like they understand what it takes now to have that consistency to be a great program. You can't just, show up one day and think it's going to happen. It's really a culmination of years of doing things the right way to really build that tradition to be able to take that next step.
Thanks, Coach. We have a couple more questions for you here. If anybody else has anything, now would be the time to ask. Coach, with the MAC championships moving to Atlantic City this year, again, kind of like Ryder, it presents the possibility of having kind of like a home court advantage. What do you have to say about that, especially being so close?
Yeah, I'm excited about Atlantic City. When we went down there in June to check it out at our MAC meetings, I was just really impressed with the venue. I think the Boardwalk Hall of Fame is going to be a really fun venue for all the teams and all the fans. So I'm excited that the MAC switched it to a neutral site, but also a site that I feel like we'll be able to maybe draw some non-MAC people that are down in Atlantic City to want to come and check it out. I think it'll be an awesome opportunity for both our men's and women's program to get fans and especially students. I think a lot of students are going to be more interested in coming to Atlantic City than up at Albany. So I'm excited that the MAC got it done, and I really feel like they've done a tremendous job of promoting this event, and they started early, and I just already feel they're generating a great buzz for it.
So, Coach, I asked a very similar question to Coach Milligan on her call, but what do you have to say to Manhattan fans to potentially draw them to the championship later in March?
I mean, the biggest thing is I feel both our team and the men's program have a tremendous opportunity to not only be in the tournament, but to advance in the tournament. And I think both our styles of play are really fun to watch. And tonight actually is our Manhattan Madness, kind of like our preseason basketball party, and we basically have the whole student body shows up for it. So I think they're definitely behind us, and I really feel John Bennett, our guy that's in charge of student engagement, has done an incredible job. I think we're going to be able to fill buses and get kids down there.
Coach Woolen, we just wanted to thank you for your time. We really appreciate you hopping on this call, and we wish you the best of luck this season.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
So that concludes this MAC call. We'll be posting a full transcript later on today and sending that out to media members. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.